Well, hello everyone, and thank you very much for coming out on a sunny Friday afternoon on a very warm day today. I'd like to thank, first of all, the Alberta Bay Community Association and Carla Obuck for allowing me to present today. So my name is Maurice Campagnaro. I am a holistic financial consultant, okay? That's a little bit different from a financial advisors, because when I actually take on a client, I go through pretty much everything from the cash flow, debt consolidation. We'll kind of just touch on a few of these things, but we look at the investments, and we look at the insurance policies, then we look at estate planning. So when I take on a client, I always look at what's the end game in mind here. What are we doing this for, and why are we sitting down? I also like to educate. So when we sit down with a client, we want to make sure that once we're having a conversation, we're actually having a meaningful conversation around, I don't need you to know as much as I know, but I need you to know enough to understand the strategy that we're getting into and where we're headed and why, okay? So I'm going to start off a little bit with the presentation here. And basically our mission statement at Experior Financial Group is building financial foundations for families to empower them today and leave a legacy for tomorrow. So what that basically means is we want to empower people enough that they understand, and again, I just spoke about this in terms of when we sit down with clients, we really want to kind of have that meaningful conversation, really talk about what are the strategies, what are the tactics, and what does all that mean? What is an RRSP? What is a TFSA? And how do we best use these things that are available to us right now, right? And then leaving a legacy for tomorrow. Well, everybody has a different meaning what legacy means. Some people might not have someone to leave money to or their estate to. Maybe they want to actually end up for that money to go to a charity or whatever they wish. So legacy is a little different for everybody, but it's leaving a legacy for someone else, because we accumulate during our lives, but then we leave something behind. Okay, we try not to leave debt behind for the most part. Okay, so again, what do? We help families primarily. Now, that's our biggest focus is helping families. My focus is a little bit more on the retirement and estate planning side, and then I also work with business for self people and entrepreneurs as well, because I've been there and I'm actually currently there, but have a lot of experience doing that. Maybe I should step back just a moment and talk about who I am and where I came from as well. So originally from Vancouver, British Columbia, and then moved out here in '96. Spent the better part of 30 years in consumer packaged goods industry. But in between there, I actually had the opportunity that I kind of stepped away for a little bit to do some mortgage advising. So I'm very well versed in how mortgage advisors work. I also worked for a company that sold syndicated land investments. Then I did my securities course in 1990, and was going to actually enter this industry in 1990, but at that point, I didn't have the right mindset. So I didn't make that move at that time, and I just decided to stay with the job and continue on. I had a mortgage. I was starting a family at that point. So, but nonetheless, I'm full circle back now. I've wanted to move on and try this industry. I love this industry because it really allows me to help people now. So my legacy is basically helping people and giving them a little bit of knowledge so that I can help them get to where they want to go. So we're always looking at what is the client's needs primarily. Okay, so needs-based analysis is what we do here. There's no strategy, there's no focus on any particular way of pulling anything together. It's basically what does the client need and how do we get them from here to where they want to go, okay? So again, what do we talk about? We talk about educating people. This is just a statistic came out in 2001, but it's probably very relevant today. So we look at the Canadians at age 65, 54% of them actually end up dependent upon someone else. I'm pretty sure you know somebody who's actually 65 and would be dependent upon someone else. Now 36% are still working. These are not the folks that are still working because they want to work. These are the folks that are working because they actually have to work, okay? 5% are unfortunately not with us anymore. 4%, they're okay to build $1 million. Now this is 2001. Fast forward to today, $1 million isn't as much as it was back then, right? Then you look at the 1%, which are the wealthy, and that's over $5 million. So why are 90% of people failing in their finances? Well, there's three primary reasons. No financial education. Okay, we don't actually get educated in school on finance. I would ask my 18-year-old daughter when she's 19, what do you know about finance? And she would say, absolutely nothing, Dad, thanks very much. So I'd have to educate her. And then we're in the process of doing that, right? So no financial game plan too. So again, I kind of touched on this a little bit about the game plan. When we talk to people about a game plan, it's like, why are we here? We want to talk about your goals and your dreams. Okay, what do you want to accomplish? Now let's put a game plan in place, and let's get a financial coach to help you get there, right? Now, does anybody in the room actually feel this? You know, you sit there and every day goes by.
Of course.
You can resonate with that? And you're like, what is an RSP? What does a TFSA? I got a car loan, I got refinancing, what is all this mortgage stuff and lease payments and tax deferred? What does that mean, right? So, you know, this is where we come into the fold, and we say, look, let's straighten all these things out for you and help you go through each one of these things and understand exactly what you need to know, okay? So we take the confusion out of it. Now the rule of 72. Have you ever heard of the rule of 72?
No.
No, okay. So the rule of 72 is quite simple. It's taking 72 and dividing it by the compound interest rate, okay? And that gives you the number of years it takes you to double your money. Now Einstein said this was the 8th wonder of the world. He who understands it earns it, he who doesn't pays it dearly. Hence the banks and the credit card companies know how this works. So here we take an example of the power of compound interest, okay? Here's a gentleman named Jason. He's 29 years old, and he starts putting away a monthly contribution of $100. We call that dollar cost averaging, okay? He's currently getting a rate of return of 2%, and at age 65, he ends up with $63,000. Andrea, well, she's a little more wise and she's maybe a little more savvy. She's doing the same thing. She's earning 4% compound interest rate. At age 65, she actually ends up with $95,000 and change. Amy is a very savvy business person. She understands this a little bit more intimate, and she's actually getting 8% compound interest rate. She ends up with $234,000. So there's a couple of things here. I mean, you can see how dramatic the difference is between the percentages here, from earning 2% to 8%, how that those doubling periods increase over time, and you make substantial amount more money. The other point here is when you take your money to the bank and you deposit your money in a bank account, you think the money just sits there with the bank? It just sits there in the bank account?
Yeah.
What they do is actually they take your money and they go make more money. Right? And that's why banks are very profitable, because they actually hire professional money managers, okay, to go out and they actually make 12 to 18% on your money. And then what do they return to you in your bank account? 0.5%, maybe 1%, maybe a little bit more today because interest rates are going up. So the point is that why can't we do that too? And so when we sit down, we put together a strategy and say, you know what, let's find the right investments so that we can also achieve those percentages and start compounding our money a lot faster as well, okay? Now, probably the most important slide in the presentation is this one, the personal financial house. So what are the most two certainties in life?
Death and taxes.
Thank you, death and taxes, you got it. Death and taxes. So one is, what do we do about death? Well, death is inevitable. But what we do is try to protect that, okay? With life insurance primarily is the piece we're going to protect that with. Taxes, we're going to try to minimize that with all the strategies that we use, right? So when we start with the house, we start with the foundation. Thank you. So in the foundation, the most important thing in life is life itself, okay? Life and your ability to earn income. Because if you don't have that ability, it's kind of hard to build a financial house at all. So when we look at life insurance in its purest form is, I pass away, someone else benefits because they get the life insurance funds, and then they pay out my debts, and potentially we can keep the estate intact, okay? If not, the contrary has to happen where maybe the estate has to be sold off, maybe there's more debt in there that has to actually be paid, and then the executor is now responsible for all that. So we want to make sure that we're taking care of people. About life insurance, in its purest sense, is I pass away and then money gets distributed to my beneficiaries. Critical illness and disability insurance, that's what we call living benefits, okay? So if you're familiar, if you know anybody that's had cancer, and maybe cancer, and here's a top 4, you got cancer, you got stroke, heart attack, and bypass surgery, those are the top 4 critical illnesses. And then there's another 28 or so that you can actually get insured for. This would offer you a lump sum of money if you actually got into critical illness, or if you suffered from critical illness. So for example, my father passed away last year, and Now, he was 83, he didn't have critical illness insurance, but I was flying to Kelowna constantly, okay? So I was incurring costs. What critical illness insurance is that it gives you a lump sum of money to not only help you go through the situation that you're in, but also help you with the people that are taking care of you and the expenses that they're going to incur to go through the situation with you, okay? Now, we can also build these plans that if that occurrence never happens, you can actually get a return of premium, so all the money you've paid into these policies you can actually get back, okay? So that's how we design these things.